Hi, I'll wait for maybe about 5 more minutes to see if there are others joining and then we can start. All right, I think we can get started. So I'll just introduce myself and what happens here, right? So my name is Anakha Nair and I'm a PhD scholar at IITB. I will be taking these problem solving session for the course Basics of Crop Breeding and Plant Biotechnology. And this is the week 7. So what happens is each week I'll be taking about 10 questions from that week's module. There'll be questions that will test the understanding that you have of that module. They are not your assignment questions. I am not allowed to discuss the assignment questions till the due date is over. All right. So they'll just be similar questions from that module that might help you understand the topic better or might help you understand how to solve the assignment better. All right. So uh, I'll be taking questions one by one. You can try guessing what you think the answer is. My chat will be open, so you can write down the answer in the chat. I'll be looking at that. And you can stop me anytime you have a doubt. If you don't want to unmute yourself, you can just write it in the chat box. I'll be reading that too. All right. So let's get started with the first question. I hope I'm audible. Can you just reply yes in case I am? And if you can see the,
Yes, yes.
yeah, you can? Sure. All right. So let's go to the first question. And the question is, which of the following molecular marker is dependent on restriction digestion and PCR technique? And there are four options given to you: RFLP, RAPD, AFLP, and SSR. So Do you have an answer that you think might be right?
AFLP.
AFLP, all right. So just before we move on, let me just um, tell you about, in brief, about each of these techniques, right? So, wait, I might, let's see what the answer is first so that you know if you're right or not. So, yeah, you're right. The answer is AFLP, and it is the molecular marker which is dependent on both restriction digestion and PCR techniques, right? So, the first one that you see here is RAPD. This one, RAPD. The sorry, this is RFLP actually. RFLP. This is RAPD. This is AFLP, and this is SSR, right? So the question is stating that you have to figure out which molecular marker is dependent on both restriction digestion and PCR technique. So RFLP uses restriction digestion, RAPD uses PCR amplification, right? Um, and AFLP uses both restriction digestion, like you can see, and PCR amplification, right? So the correct answer is in fact AFLP. So let's move on to the next question. Question number two is, single primer is used in which of the following molecular markers? And this is a MSQ, that means there might be multiple answers. So do you have a guess on to what the answer is?
I think it is SSR and ISSR.
SSR and ISSR. All right. So let's first see what the answer is then. So the answer is ISSR and RAPD, right? So the reason why it is not um, SSR, right? So SSR does not use, if you remember, I'll just use it here. SSR was something like this. If you have, this is your DNA, right? And you have this 80-50 region and 1TA, maybe 37 region, right? The repeats, the forward primer and the reverse primer, right? I'm just drawing it in the same DNA strand, but they are for the flanking regions of this repeat sequence. So it is not just a single primer that is being used, right? Because this primer will have a different code, and this one will have a different code, right? Similarly, for this and this also, the codes will be different. So they are not using a single primer, right? So that's why SSR is not the correct answer in this case. And RAPD also uses a single primer, where this is RAPD, right? So it is using the single primer and it is hoping that whatever is there in the forward direction, right, it will be there in the opposite way in the reverse direction. And whatever you get in between is what is being amplified, right? So I hope you understood this. Do you have a doubt in this?
No.
All right, sure. So let's move on to question number three. Question number three is, which marker can target multiple loci in the genome at a time? RFLP, CAPS, SSR, and ISSR. So, do you have an answer that you think might be right?
Actually, I have no idea.
That's okay. That's not a problem at all. So, the answer, let's see what the answer is first. So, the answer in this case is ISSR, right? So, since it is using one single primer, right, and it is, the primer is dependent on the repeat sequence, that is 80 or some sort of repeat, and it's either, like, if it is 80 in one direction, it will be TA in another direction, right? So the same primer can be used as a forward primer and a reverse primer, right? So because you're using one single primer, it's obvious that in a genome, imagine this is a very large genome, you will have multiple areas where these repeats will be there, right? So when you're amplifying each of these areas, you're getting the information from multiple loci in the genome, right? So that is why the answer is ISSR. Was that clear? Do you want me to explain it again?
No, I got it.
Got it? Sure. So let's move on to question number 4. Question number 4 is, if two plants possess uh, alterations in restriction endonuclease sites, which of the markers will be mostly suitable to detect polymorphism, right? And this is a MSQ again. That means there might be multiple correct answers. Do you want to try guessing?
No.
All right, no problem. Let's see what the answer is. So the answer is RFLP, CAPS, and AFLP. So what they're saying is you have two plants, right? Plant 1 and plant 2, and you have to detect polymorphism, right? So that is difference between this plant 1 and plant 2 in one site, right? One base pair or something like that, right? So you have to figure out which of these molecular markers can be used for that. So RFLP, this is RFLP, right? So you have these red arrows are showing you restriction sites, okay? But a change in a single nucleotide in this area caused the change in the restriction site. So the restriction enzyme can't identify this restriction site anymore, right? So in this case, imagine instead of normal and disease, this is plant 1 and plant 2, right? So if it was normal, you will get one two bands like you're seeing here, and since this was removed, you're getting a single band here, right? So you get only one band in the plant 2 and two bands in plant 1. So it is telling you that there is a change in the nucleotide sequence somewhere in plant 2, because of which you can see difference in bands, right? Similarly for caps also is showing you something like this. So these red marks are the restriction endonuclease sites, right? And depending on the difference due to the change in a single nucleotide, you will get different bands, right? And again, AFLP also, it cuts using restriction digestion first, right, before you add the adapters. But if supposingly in this place here and here eco-R1 sites were there, right, but due to some polymorphism only here it is there, so only a cut here will be noticed, so again you will get different bands, right? So in each of these ways you can detect polymorphisms, right? Because there is some change in the restriction endonuclease sites itself, right? And since SSR is using the repeats, so that is why it is not it is not using restriction endonuclease, right? So that's why it is not a correct answer in this case. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right, sure. So let's move on to question number 5. Which marker is used for detection of superoxide dismutase activity? There are four options given to you: morphological marker, molecular marker, biochemical marker, and gene based marker.
I guess biochemical mark.
Yeah, so you're correct. So if you want to find if the superoxide dismutase activity is there, instead of looking for the gene, like all these molecular markers are telling you how to do, if you have ever done identification of bacteria, you will have different biochemical tests, right? To figure out if this bacteria is producing, for example, in this case, superoxide dismutase or not, and that is dependent on some biochemical assay, right? So the biochemical marker is the correct answer. So if there are no doubts, I'll move on to the next question, which is question number 6. Question number 6 is, if ECO-R1 and MSC1 restriction endonucleases are used in AFLP analysis, what will be the last four bases of ECO-R1 specific plus 0 primer? Do you have a guess?
Actually, I didn't get here what the specific plus O primer is meant.
Okay, so if you remember from Sir's classes, AFLP has, we're talking about AFLP, right? Correct. AFLP has a particular way it works, right? So you have, in this case, frequent cutter eco R1, rare cutter MSE1, right? Because rare cutter means it recognizes four base pairs, and uh, it should be opposite actually. Frequent cutter. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be opposite because it is just four base pairs. It's a frequent cutter, and because this is a six base pair restriction site, it's a rare cutter, right? So, in this case, if you remember from AFLP, after you do selective amplification, do you remember the steps of AFLP? Do you want me to go over them?
No, I know that.
Yeah. So after you do selective amplification, right, with you did something called you use the adapter, right, which abolished the restriction site. You remember that step?
Yes,
After that, you use selective amplification, right? So that is where you use this adapter plus whatever overhanging tail was left, okay, and use that sequence to create a primer, right? The only thing that
yes,
will be different is because you had used something, maybe here some other nucleotide, because you wanted to abolish that first site, right? So this primer will be slightly different in the sense that here something different will be there, right? Okay.
yes,
And you're doing this, you're using selective amplification just to increase the number of bands, the number of DNA that you have, after which you will do something called um, sorry, this is pre-amplification step, right? And then you will do something called selective amplification, where you will use a primer which is either plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. So that means in this case, for example, if I take MSc1 for example, right, let me just take MSc1 for example, and imagine this is your pre-amplification primer, GCCATTCGTAA, right? And this is the change, right? This is the change from, if it is TTAA here, you changed one T to G, and using that you removed the restriction endonuclease site, right? So this is the step that you use in the pre-amplification, okay? When you do selective amplification, you use this same primer, but you add one nucleotide more here. Okay, so that is plus 1, and this n can be anything, ATGC, okay, depending on your experiment. If you add two nucleotides here, it becomes plus 2. If you add 3, it becomes plus 3, right? And so you're trying to figure out after this recognition site, what are the bases after that, right? So in this case, what they're asking you is what will be the plus zero primer, and that is the primer that is used for pre-amplification, where it is just the adapter and the recognition sequence, right? So what they're asking is what will be the last four bases of eco R1 specific plus zero primer. Okay, so eco
okay,
R1 is the last four is ATTC, right?
yeah,
So the last four for eco R1 plus zero primer will be having only this portion and nothing after that, right? So it will be this portion, right? So ATTC, whichever eco-R1 specific primer has the end ATTC, is the eco-R1 specific plus zero primer. Did you get that? Everything else
yes,
doesn't have that ATTC in the end, right? So these are all wrong. So any more doubts in this?
no.
All right. So let's move on to question number 7. Question number 7 is the molecular marker RFLP can detect polymorphism based on what? There are four options given to you. Any sequence diversity, diversity at repeat sequence, diversity at genic region, diversity at restriction endonuclease cut cell. So what do you think the answer is?
I think D.
Yeah. So the correct answer is in fact D. It is diversity at restriction endonuclease site. So like in this example where you have MST1 restriction sites, in normal state there are three and in disease state there are two. because there is a nucleotide change in this portion, the restriction site has gone, and you can detect that using a gel, right? So you can detect polymorphism based on diversity at restriction endonuclease cut sites. So if there are no doubts, I'll move on to question number 8. Question number 8 is, which is not true for molecular marker? And there are four options given to you. Option A is can detect true hybrid. Option B is can reconstitute parents. Option C is can detect parents. Option D is can detect isogenic lines. So
I think B.
you're saying B or B?
B.
B. Alright. So the correct answer in this case is B. So what it cannot do is reconstitute parents. What it means by reconstitute parents is recreate the parents, right? So that it cannot do, right? So every other option can detect a true hybrid, and um so they can be used to detect true hybrids. They can determine if the plant or the organism that you're seeing is a parent or not, and it can also detect isogenic line. And in this case, what isogenic line means is they are genetically identical but vary at one specific loci. So in that case, you will get something like everything is same, right? Except for one area. So you know they are isogenic but different at only one area, right? But they cannot reconstitute parents. Okay, they cannot recreate actual parent organisms themselves. So that's why
Yes.
this is not the correct answer. So that means this is the correct answer because it is not true for molecular markers. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on to question number 9. And this is, which of the following is true for AFLP molecular markers by applying a specific rare cutter and a frequent cutter? There are four options given to you. Option A is it can detect any variation on restriction site among the tested sample. Option B is it can detect variations only on specific restriction site among the tested sample. Option C is it can detect variation on specific restriction site and its surrounding bases among the tested sample. And option D is it can detect variations on the surrounding bases of restriction sites only among the tested sample.
A, I think.
Alright, let's see what the answer is. So the answer is option C. So what option A is saying is it can detect variation in on restriction site. It can detect any variation on restriction site among the tested sample. So that is not true, right? It depends on the specific restriction site that you're using, right? So if you're using eco R1, you can only detect variations in that, right? Unless and until you're using a restriction enzyme that is cutting at that restriction site, you cannot detect variations on any restriction site, right? So A is not the correct answer. Option B is it can detect variation only on specific restriction site. Till that point, it is correct among the tested samples. Okay, but option C is telling you that it can detect variation on specific restriction sites depending on whichever restriction enzyme you're using and its surrounding bases, right? So if you remember from, like we were discussing the AFLPMA, you will have +1, +2, +3 to detect variations in the flanking regions of the restriction site, right?
Yeah.
So that means this is the correct answer. Option A and option B were missing a few things. Option D also is missing something, right? So the correct answer in the totality is option C.
Yes.
Alright. So let's move on to the final question, which is question number 10. So if two plants possess a repeat sequence of 8037 and TA25 within a 1 kb region, and couple of variations just flanking the repeat regions, which marker could be able to detect it? There are four options given to you: AFLP, SSR, ISSR, and anchored ISSR. Do you want to try
I
to?
don't know the answer.
All right, sure. So the correct answer in this case is SSR and anchored ISSR. So AFLP is not for repeat sequences, right? It is for restriction enzymes. So that is not correct, right? SSR, ISSR, and anchored ISSR are for repeat sequences. But the reason why ISSR is not correct is because it doesn't do anything for uh, flanking regions of the repeats, right? So SSR is where you have something called AT. Imagine this: AT 50, TA 60, right? And you're using primers for the flanking regions, right? So because you're using primers for the flanking regions, if there is any polymorphism or change in the flanking region, you'll be able to figure it out. In anchored ISSR, what happens is the primer that you're using, the 87 primer that you're using, you will add a additional something to it, like a G, okay, or some other nucleotide to see if the flanking region has some variation or not. Got it?
Yes.
Yeah. So the correct answer in this case will be SSR and anchored ISSR. So that's it for the questions today. Do you have some doubt in any of the questions or something else that I can clear for you?
No, today's I understood.
You understood? Yeah, sure. So I'll be taking these classes every week on Tuesdays with at the same time. I think 7 to 9. I'll be there. You can join according to whatever time you're free. I'll repeat the questions. No, not a problem, right? So if there are other people and I'm taking questions for them, I'll just finish that off. And whatever you've missed, I will start from the beginning. So you can ask me any doubts that you have. If you have no doubts for today, you can leave the meeting. That's all. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll just start with the first few questions, all right? So, just ask me if you are not understanding the explanation, and just maybe uh, try guessing the answers also, all right? So, let's start with question number one. Just which of the following molecular marker is dependent on restriction digestion and PCR technique? There are four options given to you: RFLP, RAPD, AFLP, and SSR. What do you think is the correct answer? Any guesses? You can just write your guess in the chat. All right. So maybe let's try understanding what each of them are. So RFLP uses restriction digestion sites, right? RFLP, let's first see what it stands for, right? So it's restriction fragment length polymorphism, right? So in this case, you can see that this stretch of DNA has three eco-R1 sites, and this is a different state. So this is saying normal and this is saying disease. It can be plant one, it can be plant two also, right? So this has only two because a nucleotide here has changed, and that has changed the restriction sites. So when you do the restriction digestion and you run it in a gel and you use southern hybridization to probe it, you will see something like this. So the first one, since there are three sites, you will get two fragments, right? And since there are only two sites in the second one, you will get one fragment. So you can see polymorphism in um, you know depending on the fact that there is changes in the restriction sites into variations, right? So the next one is RAPD. Here, that is random amplified. Wait, I've forgotten the name. Yeah, so it's random amplified polymorphic DNA, right? So in this case, you're using random primers to forward and reverse primers, forward and reverse primers, right? Wait, this is forward primer, this is reverse primer, forward primer, reverse primer, and you're amplifying random regions of the DNA, and you can see the difference in the polymorphism because, for example, you had a reverse primer here, right? You don't have that here anymore, right? Because of a nucleotide variation. So you can see the differences in two states, two plants or two states, right, in the gel. Similar to this, but here it was restriction digestion, and in RAPD it was PCR, right? Next is AFLP, which uses restriction digestion and adapters. All right. So they have left the meeting.